Welcome back to my channel. Today we are zeroing on one of the most beautiful cities in the world, Cape Town. A city endured with scenery and tranquility, with more billionaires than most countries in the world. With a population of 4 million, Cape Town is the second most populous city in South Africa after Johannesburg. It is also the legislative capital of South Africa, with South Africa's parliament situated in Cape Town. Today, Cape Town is a modern city with high-rise office buildings and pedestrian malls. Although it is a major political and economic center, its reputation still rests on its beautiful situation between mountain and sea, its cosmopolitan population, and the liberal outlook of many of its citizens. A popular tourist destination, the city is known for its harbor and for landmarks such as Table Mountain and Cape Point. Cape Town's economy has grown and diversified since the ending of apartheid, to establish itself as one of South Africa's leading gateways for capital and technology. As well as attracting international tourists with its natural beauty, the city is attracting investors, large corporations, and increasingly, startups. The city has real pockets of excellence in terms of talent, technology, and entrepreneurship, spanning healthcare, biotechnology, port logistics, and environmental science. However, the attraction to Cape Town has resulted in high levels of density in the city. Cape Town's unusually high density stems from a very large number of slums, which is commonly referred as informal settlement, of which there are more than 75 in the Cape Town metropolitan area. Cape Town, South Africa has many slums, including Khayelitsha, Flamingo Crescent, Shanty, Yethu, and others. Slums in Cape Town are often isolated and lack basic services like running water and electricity. These informal settlements lack sufficient access to basic services and infrastructure, including electricity, water, and sanitation, thus preventing them from living safe and healthy lives.
Shanty towns, slums, are a familiar sight across the picturesque coastal city, with a third of Cape Town's 3.7 million residents living in slums or informal settlements, with limited access to basic services. Slums in South Africa exist in all major cities. There are also rural informal settlements. As people are increasingly migrating to urban areas, rise of slums have become a common phenomenon in most cities and metropolitan areas of the world. And Cape Town is not an exception. Cape Town is often considered to have some of the most prominent slums in South Africa, particularly areas like Khayelitsha and Imizamo Yethu, making it widely recognized as one of the most unequal societies globally due to its legacy of apartheid, where vast disparities exist between wealthy neighborhoods and impoverished townships. Let's dive into the few prominent and most recognizable slums or shanty settlements in Cape Town, South Africa. Please subscribe, share, and like my videos. Thank you for watching. Khayelitsha, a suburb of Cape Town that is home to many people, including those who live in shacks with little road access. Khayelitsha is situated in Cape Town, South Africa. This is the largest informal settlement in South Africa, with a population of over 2 million people, and is also one of the largest slums globally. 50% of the slum dwellers are under the age of 19. Though Khayelitsha was originally an apartheid dumping ground, as part of the Group Areas Act, it is now one of the largest and fastest growing slums in Africa. Over the past 25 years, the population has increased from 400,000 to 2.4 million. The unemployment rate for individuals living in Khayelitsha is 73%, with 70% of its individuals living in shacks. The severe poverty combined with a lack of community infrastructure has led the community to vast crime rates, gangs, violence and drug use, including murder, extortion, and gang violence. Thus placing Khayelitsha as the murder capital of South Africa. Local police say they deal with an average of 6 murders every weekend. Living conditions in Khayelitsha are less than pleasant, with the unfortunate 70% of individuals living in shacks made of timber and sheet metal. The shacks are built very close to one another, making fires a constant problem due to how fast they spread and how often they occur. There are no street names in Khayelitsha. Instead, the large area is divided into 26 districts, which are numbered by letters, with each shack having a different number. Sanitation is another struggle for the individuals of Khayelitsha. Oftentimes their toilets leak into the streets, fermenting there for weeks. This sanitation issue causes many diseases and sicknesses within the community. Lack of clean water and food is yet another hardship. An estimated 1 in 3 people have to walk 200 meters or more to access clean water. A limited food supply is sold between shacks, being constantly exposed to the sun and flies. Overcrowding has been another common problem in this ever-growing slum. Khayelitsha has a high population density and a low amount of resources to support the growing population. This, along with a lack of security, makes theft and crime very easy. Driving through South Africa, it was quite difficult to see some of these poor conditions and made us reevaluate what is really important in life. Severe poverty combined with a lack of community infrastructure has led to high levels of crime, gang activity, violence and drug use, making Khayelitsha the murder capital of South Africa. Over the years, the settlement has expanded faster than service provision, and people on the edge of the township live far from communal taps and toilets. Lack of clean water and food is yet another hardship. An estimated 1 in 3 people have to walk 200 meters or more to access clean water. A limited food supply is sold between shacks, being constantly exposed to the sun and flies. Khayelitsha Slums is a very big failure to the beautiful view and development in the city of CapeTown. The lack of action from the provincial government to develop the slum is a slap in the face of CapeTown, both business and political establishments. Most houses in Khayelitsha are makeshift shacks constructed with wood and corrugated iron for roofing. Thousands of people in this township lack proper sanitation. The area in general is unsanitary. The unemployment rate for those living in Khayelitsha is 73%, with 70% of the population residing in makeshift shacks. We felt like horrible people taking photos, but at the same time wanted to bring back some photos to show what some of the conditions are like for the have-nots of South Africa. Saya Debbie, a tourist. Mass shootings, extortion rackets, gang warfare, and the murder of children make Khayelitsha one of the most dangerous townships in the world to live. Shanty towns are a familiar sight across the picturesque coastal city, with a third of Cape Town's 3.7 million residents living in slums or informal settlements, with limited access to basic services, such as water, electricity, and toilets. The Flamingo Crescent informal settlement unofficially began in 1992, with a handful of families setting up temporary structures in an unoccupied lot adjacent to a scrapyard. From the original group, only 1 or 2 individuals remain. The rest of the population arrived in 2 waves, in 2005 and in 2010. Both waves were city-led efforts to take homeless individuals off of the streets of the city by providing them temporary housing in the form of small shacks funded by the city.
Since its creation years ago, the settlement has become overcrowded due to a lack of formal housing and organization. This has led to health and sanitation issues in the area. Combined with a shortage of public facilities, toilets and taps, and a lack of electricity, the people are eager to improve the area in which they live, for themselves, their families, and their community. The Flamingo Slum is where residents have worked with the city and non-government organizations to improve their lives.
Finally, but not the least, is Imizamo Yethu slum. The township of Imizamo Yethu is situated in the picturesque seaside suburb of Hout Bay in CapeTown. Hout Bay is like a microcosm of South Africa, with a wealthy, mainly white community living alongside the black community in Imizamo Yethu and another colored community in the township of Hangklip near the harbor. A few years ago, these residents lived in small corrugated iron shacks that measured no more than 9 feet by 9 feet. Running water was not available, and inhabitants had to share outside sanitation facilities. Imizamo Yethu has a population of roughly 14,000 residents, who are mainly Xhosa-speaking. The informal settlement was established in the early 1990s when 450 families who had been squatting in shacks around Hout Bay were moved to this new area on the side of a mountain overlooking the harbor, between the prestigious estates of Penzance and Kloof. Imizamo Yethu, meaning through collective struggle, is a site and service scheme, situated on 18 hectares of land, made available by the former Western Cape Regional Services Council to accommodate Hout Bay's squatters. In 1998,
the majority of the community are black Xhosa speakers from the Eastern Cape. There are also a number of colored people who hail from the traditional squatter communities. The Flamingo Slum is where residents have worked with the city and non-government organizations to improve their lives. This is not just a story. It is of people like you and me. Like one Vusi said, "We don't have homes in slums, but houses, for our focus is survival, finding ways and means to put food on the table like cocoa beans." Please subscribe, share, and like my videos. Thank you for watching.